The French have something called an apéro dînatoire, which is a cocktail party which is meant to substitute dinner. And if that's the case, you need lots of substantial food. I'm making pissaladière, a Provençal sort of pizza with caramelized onions, tomatoes, and anchovies, tasty bites on sticks, sausage and apple skewers, and shrimp with mustard mayonnaise. For dipping fresh vegetables, a rosemary chèvre sauce, tangy and rich with lemon and pepper, and quail eggs rolled in zatar, something irresistibly cute and a little exotic. Whenever you have cocktails and chit-chat, you also need canapés.
Will I see you again? Making the time again, seeing the signs again. Come over, and we'll meet again. Da da da, da 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 da.
I think every cocktail party, if you're not having dinner afterwards, needs an anchor. And I'm making one called pissaladière, which is like a French-style pizza made on a yeast dough with anchovies and tomatoes and other yummy things. With a little warm water to get my yeast going. That's 1/3 cup. This is 1.5 teaspoons of yeast, and it just has to soften. And then I just leave it there until I see it start to foam, and then I know it's going to work. This is 1.5 cups of flour. Enough. Just cracking the egg right into the yeast. And a pinch of salt. And then you just dive in there and make a bit of a well. Pour in the egg and yeast. And then you draw the flour in and mix, mix, mix. Comes a time when you need to knead. It gives dough a better consistency. In fact, it's essential to knead it. And then, when it is kneaded, just put it in the bowl. It looks like nothing, but it's going to blow up. Put it in a nice warm place, like back here, and cover it with a little towel. Just give it a little nap while you make the top. Okay, the top, onions and oil. So then heat quite a lot of oil, 3 to 4 tablespoons. And then just a gentle fry, not a massive sizzle. Now this looks like a massive amount of onions, but they do cook down and get a little bit caramelized, which tastes good. A little salt, a little pepper. And herbe de Provence. Not too much, just about 2 teaspoons or so. This is going to take a while to cook down, so I can get ready the other toppings. The nice thing about pissaladière is that it has a nice latticey top with anchovies and beautiful slices of tomato, and then beady little eyes of black olives. So it looks really fantastic. Very inviting. These are little olives from Niçois. So I just want nice thin slices of tomato. You don't really need to pit the olives, but I do because for a cocktail party you don't want people hiding them in your houseplants. And the other thing I need are anchovies. Now the thing with anchovies is that they're super duper salty. But if you rinse them, then they have just the right amount of salt. Just leave that there for a sec. I want to roll out my dough. Look at that. If you don't look at it, it does magical things under a towel. So nice and smooth, slightly sticky. I hate to punch it. And then it just goes, but it will rise again. Oil or flour. Unlike pizza, pissaladière is not round, it's rectangular. Now, first the onions. Lay on beautiful rounds of tomato. The little fish make the lattice by laying out the anchovy. And last but not least, little dots of olive in all the holes. I'm just going to let that rise again for about 15 minutes and then pop it in. Then it'll need about 20 minutes. And it's so good with the onions all caramelized down and a nice crisp crust. Next, I'm moving on to protein. I'm making sausage with little sautéed apple cubes and shrimp with mustard mayonnaise. I'm in the middle of my little cocktail bites. I just have sausages in here. You just prick sausages and then just leave them until they're cooked through and they get nice and firm that way and they don't throw fat all over the kitchen. I have two things actually. I'm making sausages with apple and sage and then shrimp with a dipping mayonnaise. These are just regular pork sausages. You just want to make slices about a centimeter thick. Now these, oddly, get fried just a little bit in oil. Because these are quite white, and I want them just a little bit on the golden side. See? Nice golden tops. Now that, I'm going to leave as is, pork fat and olive oil, and add a little butter. Hands off. Now apple, which is going to taste really good because I'm going to add a bit of sugar. So they'll get nicely caramelized and taste soft and delicious against the savory sausage. I'm trying to make neat squares. They're not going to be perfect. And throw in my little apple slices with a bit of sugar, just a pinch. Now, I'm going to want little leaves. This is my nice sage plant. Sage and apple and pork. Classic combination. So I'm going to experiment. Ah! Now the apples, there they are, look. Little soft golden cubes. Actually, I think for the sage of these, I'm going to use grapeseed oil instead because it won't burn as easily. Herbs in a little oil, they just get this electric green and translucent and they curl at the edges. They make such a pretty garnish. You want them nice and crisp because then they taste good. Survived. Okay, now assembly. So on each piece of sausage, lay a sage leaf, and then a beautiful apple slice on the top. Look, adorable and glistening. It's just a little one. I love the savoriness of the pork and that little crinkle of the leaf on your tongue. And then the apples have a nice tart sweetness both at the same time. I said I like trying new recipes, but actually you can't do all new recipes or you'd be in a fix. So this is a staple one that my friend Ivan taught me, and it's shrimp with grainy mustard mayonnaise. I'm going to make it as a little dip on the side. Mayonnaise is just one of the simplest things, and it's crazy not to make it yourself and to know how. I need a yolk. Yolk. So, I want lots of this mustard. A big spoonful. And a little splash of tarragon vinegar. A little salt. And pepper. Grapeseed oil. That's what I always use because olive oil is too bitter for mayonnaise, I find. Drop by drop it first until it emulsifies, and then you can add it more quickly. Just give it a squirt of lemon. And this is nice and easy. Just have to fry the shrimp. The oil nice and hot. 1, 2, 3. Ah! They're nice and thick. A little golden, nice pink. Lovely little curls. Nice when they actually get a bit cooler. It's really good with mustard mayonnaise because it's nice and strong and perky, and these are really rich, so they go really well together. Time to think about vegetables with a goat cheese dipping sauce. Okay, a few more things. I've got people coming for cocktails and not much time. I'm making vegetables with a goat cheese dipping sauce. So what you do, you need about 3/4 of a cup of milk and a bit of rosemary. And you just bring it to a simmer as if you were making a bechamel and infusing it with bay leaf, but this time you're infusing with rosemary. Now, zesting citrus again. It just needs to come just to a simmer, and then you just let it infuse. Turn off the heat. There we go. Now, this is goat cheese at room temperature. Actually, I think I'll do this way. Nice and soft. I'm putting in pepper and a little lemon and orange zest. I love citrus. I love citrusy perfumes too. Okay, now I just need this to cool more than that before I beat the milk in. But that gives me time to prepare the beautiful part, which doesn't take much either. I've got all these nice vegetables. I always grab right onto the yellow ones. And I've got fancy purple carrots and the most enormous radishes you've ever seen. Look at all this quart of them. And some broccoli. I'm going to leave these nice beans like this. Because I want these to look natural, I'm just going to leave a little green and cut them in half. And oh, I also have in the depths little peas. That'll do. Now, I want a platter for the vegetables. The biggest one I have of this type. And a bowl for my sauce, which is about to be made. That's cool enough now. It's just getting it in here. You just want to do it gradually because this is really, really thick despite the fact that I've creamed it. And this is thin. That way too, if you add a bit at a time, you can judge how thick or thin you want it. That's thin enough. You can always thin it out with a little more milk if you think you need to. And you can make this as far in advance as you like without any trouble. Now, I like how they're all different shapes. That's the nice thing about vegetables. Visually, they are never boring. I like a generous looking platter of vegetables. So I just need one more bite. I'm making tiny quail's eggs rolled in zaatar, a little exotic. Now it looks like a cocktail party out there. I look like I'm about to mop. I'm covered in oil splats. That's what I get for not wearing an apron. Oh well, doesn't matter. I'm going to change anyway. I just have one last simple thing to make. Little quail's eggs rolled in zatar, something irresistibly cute and a little exotic. Okay, this is cold water. And adding the eggs carefully to it. And you just bring it to a boil, just to the boil. This is my egg method. To the boil and then turn off the water and let them sit there. 2 minutes. Baby eggs, 2 minutes. Better cut this before anyone sees there was a piece missing. Hee. Provençal fingers. Time's up. Then just rinse them under cold water to shock them so they go and pull away from the shells a bit. So I'm going to put these in the fridge to cool completely. And then I'm going to change so I don't look like a wreck. I'll be right back. 1 sec. Now I don't know what I think of the quail's eggs. It's a lot of work. Peeling all these little babies. This is Zatar. It's a Middle Eastern spice mixture that has sumac in it and little sesame seeds. Delicious. You just empty the spice into a bowl and roll them around in there. It's better if you rub them with oil because then the sesame seeds stick. I've got pissaladière, a flattened yeast dough with caramelized onions, tomatoes, and anchovies. Tasty bites on sticks, sausage and apple skewers, and shrimp in grainy mustard mayonnaise. For dipping fresh garden vegetables, a rosemary chèvre sauce, tangy and rich, with lemon, orange zest, and pepper. And quail eggs and zatar, something irresistibly cute. Let's call it a labor of love. So glad you guys could all come.
Oh, these shrimp are lovely. That smells amazing.
I love salty little anchovies.
Is that tasty? Oh,
This is really good. I like
this is kid.
How do you eat those?
They're so slippery.
Are you very